Welcome to Smart English School, and welcome to one of the most exciting, emotional, dramatic, and unforgettable football stories we could possibly talk about. Argentina versus England at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Just say those two names together, Argentina and England, and immediately, if you love football, your imagination begins to move. You see packed stadiums. You hear thousands of voices singing. You see blue and white shirts on one side, white shirts and English flags on the other. You remember legends. You remember controversy. You remember genius, heartbreak, revenge, penalties, red cards, incredible goals, unforgettable players, and moments that have survived for decades in football history. And now in 2026, this extraordinary rivalry has returned on the biggest stage at the most dramatic possible moment. A World Cup semifinal with only one victory separating each team from the final. This is not simply another football match. It is a meeting between two of the most famous football nations on earth. It is a confrontation between history and the future, between memories and new dreams, between one team trying to defend its place at the top of world football and another desperately trying to end 60 years of waiting. For Argentina, there is Lionel Messi, a man whose career already feels bigger than football itself, walking into another enormous World Cup night at the age of 39, still creating moments that make millions of people stop whatever they are doing and watch. For England, there is Harry Kane, the captain, the goal scorer, the leader who has spent much of his international career carrying the enormous expectations of a football nation, and beside him there is Jude Bellingham, young, fearless, powerful, technically brilliant, and increasingly comfortable when the pressure becomes almost unbearable. This is Messi against Kane, Messi against Bellingham, Lionel Scaloni against Thomas Tuchel, Argentina's experience against England's belief, South American passion against European power. But even those descriptions are too simple, because Argentina and England are much more than stereotypes. Modern Argentina can fight, defend, suffer, press, control, and attack. Modern England can play technical football, dominate possession, counterattack at speed, survive difficult moments, and somehow find a way back when a match appears to be slipping away. That is why this semifinal feels so difficult to predict, and that is why the excitement is so intense. Before we talk about what might happen in 2026, however, we have to travel backward, because when Argentina and England meet in a World Cup, history always seems to walk onto the pitch with them. Their World Cup story stretches across generations. England defeated Argentina in 1962, and again in the quarterfinals of the 1966 tournament, a tense match in which Argentina captain Antonio Ratin was sent off. England would go on to win that World Cup on home soil, their first and, so far, only men's World Cup title. 20 years later came the match that changed this rivalry forever. Argentina versus England in the quarterfinals of the 1986 World Cup in Mexico. Diego Maradona scored two goals that could hardly have been more different from each other. The first became known throughout the world as the Hand of God, a controversial goal that remains debated and remembered 4 decades later. The second was the opposite kind of controversy. It was pure footballing genius, a breathtaking individual run in which Maradona carried the ball through England's defense and scored what became celebrated as one of the greatest goals in World Cup history. Argentina won 2-1 and later lifted the trophy. Then came France 1998, another match filled with almost unbelievable drama. Michael Owen, still a teenager, announced himself to the world with a magnificent individual goal. David Beckham was sent off after his incident with Diego Simeone. England, playing with 10 men, fought through the rest of the match, but after a 2-2 draw, they were eliminated in a penalty shootout. 4 years later, at the 2002 World Cup, Beckham stood over a penalty against Argentina, carrying not only the pressure of that match, but also the memories of 1998. Now let us come directly into the extraordinary reality of World Cup 2026. Because this semifinal is not built only on history, it is built on what Argentina and England have actually done during this tournament. And the numbers surrounding their biggest stars are remarkable. Lionel Messi arrived at this World Cup already carrying a football resume that would have been enough for several legendary careers. Yet according to Reuters, he entered the England semifinal having scored 8 goals at the 2026 finals, taking his career World Cup total to 21, while also setting a new mark for World Cup appearances. At 39, in his sixth World Cup, he is not simply participating in the tournament as a ceremonial legend saying goodbye to the sport. He is influencing it, scoring in it, leading in it, and standing one victory away from another World Cup final. Argentina teammate Rodrigo de Paul said before the semifinal that seeing Messi enjoying himself made him happy, describing a captain who appeared to be genuinely appreciating the experience of another World Cup journey. There is something almost beautiful about that idea. We often imagine elite sport only through the language of pressure, pressure to win, pressure to perform, pressure to prove something. But perhaps one of the reasons a veteran can remain dangerous is that he has learned how to enjoy the moment. A young player may think, I must not fail. A veteran may think, I know how rare this is. Let me live it. Messi has already experienced the full emotional journey of international football. He has been celebrated, criticized, compared endlessly with Maradona, questioned for not winning a senior international trophy, defeated in major finals, temporarily retired from international football, returned, won the Copa America, and finally lifted the World Cup in Qatar in 2022. The burden that once seemed to follow him everywhere has changed. Now in 2026, the question is different. It is no longer simply, can Messi win the World Cup? He already has. The question is, how far can this story possibly go? Can a 39-year-old Messi lead Argentina into another final? Can Argentina become the first nation since Brazil in 1962 to successfully defend the Men's World Cup? Reuters noted before the semifinal that no team since that Brazilian side had retained the trophy, which gives Argentina's campaign an extraordinary historical dimension. This is not simply about adding another medal. It is about attempting something that football has not seen for more than 6 decades. But England have their own extraordinary numbers. Reuters reported before the semifinal that Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham had each scored 6 goals in the tournament, combining for 12 of England's 13 goals. Think about the pressure that creates for Argentina's defense. If you focus too much on Kane, Bellingham may arrive from midfield. If you follow Bellingham's movement, Kane may find space. If your defenders step forward to close Kane when he drops deep, space can open behind them. If you defend too deep, England can surround your penalty area and deliver wave after wave of pressure. This is why the tactical battle is fascinating. Kane is at his best when he can influence more than one zone of the pitch. Yes, he is a goal scorer, but he is also capable of becoming a playmaker. He can receive the ball with his back to goal, protect it, turn, switch play, or release a runner. Bellingham is dangerous precisely because he can read what Kane is doing. When Kane drops, Bellingham can move forward. When defenders are occupied elsewhere, Bellingham can appear in the area at exactly the right second. Reuters noted that Bellingham had scored 4 goals in his previous 2 matches entering the semifinal, and that England had beaten Norway 2-1 after extra time in the quarterfinal, with Bellingham central to their progress. So who will win, Argentina or England? And what could this match ultimately mean for Messi, Kane, Bellingham, and the history of the World Cup? This is where prediction becomes both irresistible and dangerous, because football has a wonderful habit of making confident predictions look foolish. On paper, you can build an argument for Argentina. They are the defending champions. They have a team that understands how to suffer in knockout football. They have Lionel Messi enjoying an extraordinary tournament, entering the semifinal with 8 goals according to Reuters. They have players around him who understand their roles and appear comfortable carrying the emotional responsibility of representing a nation that treats football not merely as entertainment, but almost as a cultural language. Argentina know how to manage the temperature of a match. They can play beautifully, but they do not need the match to be beautiful. If the game becomes physical, they can compete. If it becomes emotional, they can survive. If it becomes tactical, they can adjust. If it becomes chaotic, they have players who can live inside chaos. And if the match is decided by one moment, they have perhaps the greatest creator of decisive moments the sport has ever seen. That makes Argentina terrifying. But then you look at England, and the argument becomes equally persuasive. England have Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham entering the semifinal with 6 tournament goals each, an extraordinary combined contribution. They have already demonstrated the ability to come back from difficult situations. They possess physical strength, technical quality, set-piece danger, tournament experience, and a group of players who no longer appear satisfied simply to reach the later stages of competitions.